Emma Gilroy and I'm the Head of Residential Property at JCP Solicitors. Welcome to my new office for the foreseeable future. Over the last week or so, we have had quite a few queries from our clients regarding the stay-at-home measures that have been introduced and how they will affect their property transaction. In the last couple of days, we have had government guidance for home movers, so I thought now would be a good opportunity to try and answer some of those questions that have been put to us. So the first question that has been asked is, will my house sale be put on hold now the country is on lockdown? As I've said, the government has now issued guidance which does say that there is no need for people to pull out of transactions, but where possible they should try and look to delay the completion and not physically move home. If you're thinking of buying or selling your home during this period, you can accept offers and make offers on properties, and we can process the documentation up to the point of exchange for you. Completion cannot take place during this time unless you've already exchanged contracts, but I'll come on to that in a bit. But the other option that we've got is with exchange, we can exchange in some circumstances, but that would involve inserting a clause into the contract to delay completion till after the lockdown measures have been relaxed, or else you hold and put everything on hold until the lockdown provisions have been lifted, and then you exchange and you can complete probably quite quickly at that time. It would be worth you speaking to your conveyancer to have them explain to you what are the pros and the cons of either waiting or having these clauses inserted into your contract. There are certain transactions where it would be possible to both exchange and complete during the lockdown. This is where the property that you're looking to purchase is already unoccupied, where you already reside in the property that you're looking to purchase, so you're not actually having to move. Where the property you're looking to purchase, you don't actually have to move into, because the property that you're currently residing in, you haven't got anything which makes that you have to move out of it. So there are possible circumstances where you could actually exchange and complete during this lockdown period. Where exchange of contracts has already taken place, as the government guidance has indicated, you should at every opportunity look to delay that completion as far as possible. Where that can't be achieved because there's a chain, and there are difficulties where there's a chain because you do need everybody to agree to the completion being delayed. If you cannot agree that, then the house move can go ahead because it will be deemed as a critical move, but you really have got to have exhausted all your options of trying to delay the completion. Factors that may come into it and affect your ability to move, though, are with third parties, removal companies. Removals are deemed as non-essential during the lockdown, and fines can be levied by the police against removal companies. There is one exception, and that is where the move has been deemed a critical move. But what the removal company would need to ensure is that they are abiding by the social distancing measures, they're abiding by all the hygiene measures that have put in place, that none of their employees have any symptoms or any of their families, and it is quite a high standard. So what we're tending to find is there's not a lot of removal companies out there at the moment who are undertaking removals. Also mortgage companies, mortgage lenders, if you've already had your mortgage issued, that is great, but what you may find is that the mortgage companies are also suffering with staff shortages due to illness and people having to self-isolate, so the process is being slowed down with that. If you haven't had your mortgage offer issued as of yet, then it's unlikely it's going to be, as all mortgage valuations are currently on hold. So the second question that's been put to us is, what if the other members of my chain are unready to proceed? So where an exchange of contracts has already taken place, it is vitally important that you check that every member of that chain is in a position to try and delay the completion, as we've said. That is the one thing that we must all try to do. If a delay couldn't be agreed, although under the contract you do have the right to serve a notice to complete on the person who is defaulting, and this makes time of the essence for them to actually complete the transaction, in the current climate is questionable whether that is a reasonable and viable option, let alone being against the government guidance of trying to delay wherever we can. Where you have not exchanged contracts yet, there are two options available to you. Either wait until the rest of the chain is ready and willing to move towards exchange with the completion date after the lockdown, or else you withdraw from the transaction. Now, in the current climate, whether it's beneficial to withdraw is questionable, so it may be that your best bet is to just wait it out. So, third question. Social distancing will be tricky during a house move. Do the regulations allow for this, since my move is critical? The government's policy on social distancing is a strict one, and you must comply with it. What you'll probably tend to find, as I've said, removal companies are finding that it is quite a high standard, so they're not actually allowing removals to go ahead at the moment. And anybody that's related in the chain, such as your solicitor, if you've been advised to delay and can't agree a completion delay, they're unlikely to be responsible for any fines levied against you. They're going to limit the liability there. Wherever it's possible to delay, you should. The fourth question, I have already exchanged contracts and I have a fixed completion date. Will my house move still go ahead? So again, it comes back to what we've mentioned, where we already have had an exchange of contracts with a fixed completion date. We will support you to proceed to completion if it cannot be delayed. Delaying, as I've said before, is where we should be looking to go from here until the measures have been lifted. If you haven't exchanged on your property, the advice really is to look at either delaying until the measures have been lifted, or else discussing if it is really urgent for you to exchange, whether those clauses would be suitable to be inserted into the contract. However, my only word of warning on that is the clauses that could be inserted, they've not been tested by the courts. We have no guarantees that they are acceptable and would offer you any protection. So you really need to consider your options carefully there. So the next question, what if an extension goes beyond the terms of a mortgage agreement? So, for example, this lockdown period now, we're not quite sure at the moment how long that is going to be for. What if your mortgage offer expires before that? So UK Finance have confirmed that to support customers who have already exchanged contracts for their house purchases, and completion dates have been set for them as well, crucially, mortgage lenders are working to find ways to try and extend those mortgage offers for up to 3 months, so that the move can be carried out at a later date. If during that 3-month period, because it is a significant period, it's a period at the moment of uncertainty, if your circumstances changed or the terms of the house purchase changed significantly, and to continue with the mortgage would cause you as the buyer financial hardship, lenders are actually working with customers to try and help manage their finances, and that's being done as a matter of urgency. Question 6. I'm halfway through a self-isolation period, but I don't want to delay my house move in case I lose my buyer. What should I do? Okay, well, firstly, anyone with symptoms and who is self-isolating must make sure that they follow medical advice and not move home for the time being. If for some reason, the contractual reasons that moving home is unavoidable and the parties involved cannot reach an agreement to delay, you must follow the advice on social distancing. There's no two ways around it. You have to try and minimise the spread of the virus. So as I've said before, that is really quite a high standard. So wherever possible, it is recommended that you try and delay that completion. And our final question is, if I have exchanged contracts but cannot proceed because I am infected. Where do I stand legally? So the transaction will be governed by the provisions of the contract that you've already exchanged, unless the parties agree to vary it in some way. So if completion does not go ahead under the terms of the contract because of Covid-19, the party that fails to complete is in default. And unless it's varied or the parties to it act in good faith and decide not to progress with the remedies that are available under the contract, you'd be in breach and could be subject to notices to complete, penalty interest being levied, as well as if you're a buyer losing your 10% deposit. In light of the government guidance, all parties really should try as far as they possibly can to try and find amicable agreements and preferably delay the completion date until after the lockdown measures have been relaxed in any event. Where there's a chain, as I've said before, it is sometimes very difficult because there's so many parties involved in it. It may be impossible to actually find an amicable agreement to delay the completion date. In that case, there is an argument that the terms of the contract have been frustrated in legal terms, which means it's incapable of being carried out due to this Covid-19 being an unforeseen event. This will very much depend on the circumstances of each individual case, however, and the courts look at it and decide whether the defence of a frustrated contract can be applied. I would draw caution in that it is very difficult to prove frustration, and there are very few cases that have been successful. So really the best option is to try and agree a variation of the contract. I'm trying to insert this Covid-19 clause to delay the completion as far as possible. So that's it. I hope that has actually been of some assistance. Our residential conveyancing team is on hand with tailored legal advice. If you've got any questions, if you need any help, please contact us and we will help you. Thank you for listening. Look after yourselves and keep safe.